All right. Thanks for tuning in again for thoroughbred horse racing coverage on the Prime Sports Radio Network. It's the Prime Sports Horse Report. John Hardoon is with me once again. John, how you doing?
Good, Greg. How are you?
Doing good. We got the little Belmont Park logo on top of your screen there because we have some big Belmont races. We have two to handicap on the show today, including the Grade 1 Carter Handicap, which will handicap with our second race. So Carter Handicap is one of the premier races for the meet, right?
Yes, today was supposed to be Belmont Stakes Day. Unfortunately, with everything that went on, the Derby is now moved till October 5th, and the Belmont Stakes will actually be 2 weeks from today. They're running the Belmont as the first leg of the Triple Crown, and it will not be run at a mile and a half. It will be run at a mile and an eighth, which is big changes.
Okay, so like we're seeing like in hockey and basketball, where all they're doing is putting together a tournament. Like
Exactly.
when the champion of the hockey tournament skates around with his Stanley Cup, that's when I'm gonna laugh. It's a tournament.
All over the place.
Yeah, they should just come up with a special trophy this year for both the NBA and the NHL. Don't give him the real trophy. And that's what's going on in horse racing. It's
Exactly.
just what Belmont in 2 weeks. Then what?
Then they take time off till October 5th.
That makes a lot of sense.
You got a little rest. Every year it's a hard accomplishment to win 3 races in 6 weeks.
Yeah, that's the whole point.
Yeah, that's the hardest part. So when you get to
Yeah.
spread races out 3 months apart, well, then it's not that big a feat.
No. Well, it is what it is, and we'll be back on the air, no question, in 2 weeks to preview the Belmont. So at least there's that. And
Yeah,
and next week, are there any big races at Belmont next week?
I'm sure there's big races somewhere because everyone's up and running.
Yeah.
Basically,
Santa,
Churchill is back, Gulfstream is back, Santa Anita's back.
yeah,
Maybe
Santa Anita was supposed to. I mean, they had a good card today. I mean, a good schedule today, but the horses are just not very good at all.
no horse population at all. People shipped out. They went to Kentucky. They came to New York. They just left California because no one knew how long they were going to be closed for. And now they're staying wherever they went. So Santa Anita's really up against it. Today they have an 11 race card there, only 67 horses. So do the math. It's about 6.1 horses or six
Oh
and a half
wow.
race. Yeah, I mean, they
Yeah.
got terrific races, but you can't bet on them because there's no value.
Yeah, not good. Well, at least we have a couple of good races to talk about here at Belmont. We're going to start with race 7, mile and a 16th. This is the Westchester Grade 3. Let's start with the one endorsed. Endorsed at 6-1. Now we're doing it on race day, so you have the updated odds. But endorsed was 6-1. I was looking at this horse and I said, wait a second, 6-7-6 on the sheets, coming off a win, first time with Mott training him, and Rosario on board for the second time with a win. 2 for 2 with this distance. The odds are good, so I'm not sure if you've got the updated odds, if he's still 6-1 or better.
Well, it is 6-1. There is one late scratch in the race, number 10. Wait for it, will not run. He's a late scratch. This is actually going to be my top selection in here. He's a little slower than the big favorite, number 9, Code of Honor. However, he has a license to improve. He used to be trained by Karen McLaughlin, who's a terrific trainer, but he retired. Mott took over the training, got a win out of him the first time he ran for him. Joel Rosario rode him that day. He rides back again today, and the price is certainly right. If you get anywhere near the 6-1, he's certainly the right horse to be playing in here.
Yeah, because Code of Honor, as you mentioned, and we'll get to Code of Honor in just a minute, but the two top races for Code of Honor, both 5s, and here we have endorsed running 2 6s. That's right there,
Yeah,
and much better odds. So
much better odds. And Code of Honor is coming off of a long layoff since the Breeders' Cup of last year. So, who knows if he's even ready if he's fully cranked his first start back off of a long layoff.
yeah, endorsed. The last time out was just last month, a month ago, at Oaklawn, right? Oaklawn Park. Okay,
Yeah.
let's go now. The 2 and the 3. If you had to pick between one of those two, the 2 seems to be the better horse. You have Chad Brown. We're coming off a five, two fives in the last three races. He's 4-1 on the morning line. The number three is getting a big boost with the rider chains. But when you take into the odds into the equation, who would you go with?
Well, I really don't like either one of them. The two horse makes his first stop, by the way, for trainer Chad Brown. This horse used to be trained by Jason Service, who was him and a trainer named George Navarro were recently thrown out of horse racing for cheating.
Ah.
So this horse was trained by a cheater. So those good numbers that he has, there may have been a reason for them.
Okay.
I don't want to bet anything that Jason Service or Jorge Navarro trained until I see them run for their new connections.
Okay.
Again, there's
Good
nothing wrong
point.
with Brown. He's a great trainer. However, this horse earned those figures, maybe not 100% on the up and up.
That's why we have you on the show,
Right.
even though it's your own show.
Right. No, it's your show too.
No, it's your show. We wouldn't have it without you. All right. So what about the three who, again, as I said, maybe the biggest plus is the rider change?
Yeah, okay. I mean, he's fine, but guess what? He's yet to run a 5 or a 6 or a 7.
Yeah.
Last time out he ran an 8. He once ran an 8 before this, or actually two other times. But they're too far and few between, and he would have to really run a new top today to beat these other horses.
All right, the 4, 8-1 morning line, 3 consecutive 8s. He's got 2 6s dating back to last June. And look, 10 out of 10 in the money. 3 for 3 at Belmont, 3 straight wins, not getting any respect with the big number at 8-1.
Well, the problem with this horse is even though he's won 3 races in a row, his numbers are progressively getting worse because last year he was running 6s.
Yes.
Now all he could do is manage 8s, so that's a little negative. The price is fine, 8-1. If you could tell me he's going to run a 6, well, certainly I would include him in my numbers. And I would include him in my exactas because he certainly has a chance to get a piece. I don't think he's good enough to win.
Okay, I want to ask you about senior investment because he's 10-1 coming off also 3 straight wins.
Yeah, those races were run at kind of minor league tracks. They were run at Laurel and at Parks. This is like the major leagues when you run at New York or in Florida. So obviously these races are a lot tougher. The good thing about him is he is 10-1, but again, those races will run out of town. And he's got too many bad numbers surrounding the good numbers. I don't particularly like him because I think there are just better horses in here than this.
And then
I think Payne, for example, is a lot better than this horse. Payne's 8-1. This horse is 10-1. So for 2 points, you're much better off using the 4 than using this horse.
And then the favorite is Code of Honor, and why not? But the only problem with Code of Honor, as you mentioned, hasn't raced since November. When he raced in November at the Breeders' Cup Classic, it was one of his worst races of his career. So there's that as well. But he's coming back to Belmont where he's performed well.
Yeah, listen, this horse has every license to come back and run a 5. And if he runs a 5, well, then certainly he could win. The problem with this horse is the price. He's not going to be any value. He's going to be even money or less. And again, for that reason, I'm going to go with endorsed ahead of this horse, only because of the odds.
Agreed. So with the play, then what would it be? You trying to hope that the 1 and the 4 possibly.
Yeah, I'll play exactas. I'll use the 1 on top of the 4 and the 9 on top of Payne and on top of Code of Honor. And if the 1 is anywhere near 6-1, you certainly should make some sort of win bet on him. You don't want a horse winning paying $14 and you're blowing the exacta. That's not a good thing to do.
Okay.
Winners are hard enough to come by. You have to cash when your horse wins.
Okay, let's go with the main course, the Run Happy. I don't know what that is. Carter Handicap.
Run Happy is a horse that was a champion sprinter.
Okay.
And he's owned by Mattress Mac, the guy in Texas, McElveen, I believe his name is. He's a very charitable guy. That's the guy that bet like $9 million on the Astros. And if they didn't win, he was going to give everyone free mattresses. He's in the mattress business.
Okay.
So he's making a stud out of Run Happy, and that's why he's sponsoring all these races.
Good, nice, nice.
Great horse.
Okay, nice to see that happen there. All right, now this race is going to go off about an hour after the race that we just talked about, race 7. This is race 9. Forenzi Fire. Let's talk about this 7-2 shot. Who has 10 wins out of 24. Really good numbers last year. Matter of fact, the last time this horse was at Belmont Park, he ran a 1, losing by a nose. He's also run a 3 and several 5s last year. He began this year with a 7, but he's coming off 3 straight wins and is about 4-1.
And this is another one of those horses that was trained by Jason Service.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, who trained the horse that won the Derby this year, by the way, and was disqualified. I can't remember his name. I can't believe it. That's that super trainer who got in trouble, and you could see by the numbers on sheets.
Yeah, they were good.
Yeah, well, obviously he was doing something, but they certainly got good when he took over the training. If she were admissible in court, there'd be a lot of people in trouble. I don't want any part of this horse. Obviously, if he runs the 3 or the 1, he's going to be very tough to beat. But I don't think he's going to run it, and the price certainly will not be good. He's going to be bet because number 2, Performer, is a late scratch along with number 6. And Performer was 3-1 on the morning line. So
okay, so we've got the cheater out. Right. We got the Performer scratched. The 3 and the 4 are crap. So let's go to the 5, Network Effect, an 8-1 shot. Good rider, combination with the trainer, Chad Brown. Ran a 6 last November. His last 3 races has gone from a 10, 8, 7, so he's heading in the right direction. Never raced at Belmont, but he's 2 for 2 with this distance, and they're getting good odds, and I'm sure those odds are coming down a little bit.
Yeah, they're going to come down, certainly because of the connections of Chad Brown and Irod Ortiz. However, that being said, we're going to find a real fast horse later on when we get to the bottom of the page here. But again, this horse certainly has a chance to get in the exacta.
Okay, let's then talk about the 10, Mind Control.
What about American Anthem? Why don't we discuss him?
All right, go right ahead. Talk about that 15-1 shot, American Anthem, who's 1 for 1 at Belmont. And what do you like specifically about this horse who's had a couple of 2s in his career? Few 6s last year, back-to-back 8s to start the year.
Yeah, I mean, he's just a steady horse. He never really runs a bad race, and he's 15-1. You may want to include him. I don't think he's good enough to beat the other horses in this race. But listen, again, another horse similar to Network Effect, a price horse that has a shot to get in the exact.
Okay, and yeah, just let's say he's won almost half of his races at this distance. So that's good. And again, he hasn't raced at Belmont in a few years, but when he did race at Belmont, he won. So not the worst idea in the world considering the odds.
Right. That's the whole point. The only knock at all on this horse is that he used to be trained by Bob Baffert when he ran that 2 a few years back. So that's the only, he obviously, Danny Gargan is not as good as Bob Baffert is. But again, this guy got these 2 good races out of him this year. I don't think he's going to ever run a 2 again, but you don't need a 2 to get in the exacta here. A 7 or 6 or 8 may be good enough.
And Gargan is having a strong year so far.
Absolutely.
Okay, now let's go to Mind Control. And Mind Control, and by the way, just before we get there, just want to as far as the sheets, the 8, Bone Raison, ran a 6 his last time out, and the 9, Majestic Dunhill, 20-1 shot, ran a 5 the last time out. His second 5 of the past, year and a half.
Those horses figure to react, in my opinion, and probably go backwards. I don't expect them to run well. Yeah. But again, you're talking about a 20 and 30-1 shot.
Yeah. Mind Control, the 10 is 4-1, and this is, if you take a look at the sheets, this could very well be the horse coming off a 2 in March. It's won 3 straight. The numbers are excellent, and 4-1. I mean, that's a good number to get for a horse with those sheet numbers.
Well, remember, he was 4-1 when Performer was in the race. He was 3-1.
Yes.
But now Performer's out of the race.
And Forenzi Fire. Forenzi Fire's in, but that's a good thing that Forenzi Fire's in. Then maybe his odds will help.
Right. That's what's going to help cover control. Hopefully, we may get 3-1 or 5-2. But the mind control, it's certainly his race to lose. Off of the figures, he's an improving 4-year-old who's getting better with each start. He's got enough time from that last race when he ran the 2 that he doesn't have to react off of the race, and he's got a shot to actually pair up numbers. I think this horse is going to be very tough to beat today.
It's so incredible whenever you take a look at these Grade 1 races, these pretty, big races during the season. Not the major races, but the solid Grade 1 races. And you take a look at some of these favorites, and you look over their past histories, and their worst races are always at the Breeders' Cup.
Yeah. You know why? Because you have horses shipping from all over the country, and these horses a lot of times are making their first start at those tracks. Like the Breeders' Cup's been, for the most part, in Southern California the last 5 or 6 years. On occasion they ran in Kentucky. So these horses never run over those tracks, and then they ship in for the first time. Sometimes you need a race over the track or whatever.
Sure.
And
there's usually like 13, 14 horses in the field too.
And you're running against the best horses in the world, even horses shipping in from Europe and everything else. So, when they run today, they're not facing the best horses in the world, but they're facing good horses.
Sure.
This is a win and you're in for the Breeders' Cup. If you win this race, you get a free invitation to the Breeders' Cup Sprint. So it's an important race for a lot of horses. And, if you're not nominated for the Breeders' Cup and you didn't pay the dues and all that, well, this kind of helps you.
All right. Now, the 11, Vacoma, actually was in the Kentucky Derby last year. He's got some 8s and some 7s. He's won 4 out of 6 races. He's never, his best win was the Bluegrass, so he's got to win there. The odds are a little low, though.
Yeah, I mean, he's 7-2. He's never run anywhere near a 2, that the other horses run. So,
where would you want that horse to be before you would even consider him, odds-wise?
Odds-wise, he's got to be 5-1.
Even consider him.
Yeah. Listen, he's really not much better than Network Effect or American Anthem. The 5 and the 7, and they're both going to be a lot longer than this one. This one's going to be one of the favorites in here. He won his last race at Gulfstream. He's like touted as supposed to be a real good horse. He's won 3 races in his life, so he's not that bad. He's won 3 out of 6 starts. So he's won half his starts.
Got Castellano.
Yeah, and he's got a good trainer. However, the odds are not there. There's no value in playing this horse at all. Can he win? Of course he could win, but not for my book. Not for my $2.
So Mind Control, that's the best horse?
By far. And
Network Effect, the best value?
Network Effect and American Anthem are my 2 value plays in the race.
So you're going to put the 3 of them together?
I'm going to put the 10 on top of the 5 and 7 in exactness.
John, thank you.
Anywhere near 4-1, you must bet the 10-1. But I don't think you're going to get it. So.
All right. Well, hopefully there'll be some decent races next week, because in 2 weeks we'll definitely be on for the Belmont Stakes. Can't wait for that. And if anybody wants to reach you, how is the best way to do that?
Well, they can go to my website at jonhardoon.com. And there you have golf. I handicap all the tracks every day. Or if you're interested in buying the sheets, you can go to theragosansheets.com and you get all the information there. They'll send you a free press kit that tells you all about the sheets. General
Hardoon, I like the haircut. We'll talk to you again, hopefully next week.
You know how hard it was to get this haircut?
And it's only been, 4 months?
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
On Thursday, I begged the guy, please. He let me in. He was closing. $50 for a haircut.
Nice. That's even a little more expensive than I've ever spent. And I spend my haircuts are expensive.
I go for $12 supercut haircuts.
I'm not surprised to hear that. Thanks, John.
Be well, my friend.